Have you ever found yourself standing in a crowded room, surrounded by conversation and laughter, yet feeling profoundly alone? That strange disconnect where physically you're present, but emotionally, you might as well be on another planet. Or perhaps you've experienced those inexplicable moments of anxiety that wash over you in seemingly safe situations. Your heart racing while grocery shopping, your breath shallow during a routine meeting at work, your mind spinning with vague but persistent dread as you try to fall asleep at night. Maybe it's the dreams that have been haunting you lately, not the obvious nightmares that wake you in a cold sweat, but the subtler, recurring scenarios that leave you with a lingering unease throughout your day. The colleague's casual comment that triggered an anger so intense it frightened you. The minor setback that spiraled you into a despair far out of proportion to the actual event. The compulsive checking of locks, the avoidance of certain streets or situations, the relationships that keep following the same painful pattern despite your conscious efforts to choose differently this time. These experiences might seem disconnected, merely the random difficulties of being human in a complex world. But what if they're not random at all? What if these seemingly separate struggles are actually connected, different manifestations of the same underlying process? What if your psyche is trying desperately to communicate something that your conscious mind has been working equally hard to avoid? The most challenging aspect isn't even the feelings themselves, it's the isolation that comes with them. When you try to explain these experiences to others, you're often met with well-meaning but simplistic advice. Just think positive. Everyone feels anxious sometimes. You need to let go of the past. These responses leave you feeling even more alone, more convinced that no one really understands what you're going through. You might begin to question yourself, wondering if you're overreacting, or if there's something fundamentally wrong with you that others don't struggle with. The shame of these unexplainable feelings compounds the original distress, creating a layered suffering that makes it even harder to reach out for connection or help. You develop strategies to hide the parts of your experience that don't fit neatly into acceptable narratives. You become skilled at presenting a version of yourself that others can comfortably engage with, while the fuller truth of your inner reality remains unexpressed, unwitnessed, and increasingly isolated within you. What if I told you that these seemingly irrational experiences, the disconnects between what you consciously want and what you actually feel or do, the emotions that seem to arise from nowhere, the patterns you can't seem to break despite your best intentions, are actually communications from a part of your mind that operates according to its own logic and timeline? What if the very aspects of your experience that feel most shameful, most difficult to explain to others, most resistant to your conscious control, are actually rich with meaning and purpose? There is a reason why logical understanding alone rarely transforms these patterns. There is meaning in the specific form your suffering takes, and understanding this meaning might be the key to a different kind of healing, one that doesn't require you to fight against these experiences, but instead to recognize them as significant communications from aspects of yourself that have been denied expression through more direct channels. This is where Sigmund Freud's revolutionary insights into the human mind offer us a framework for understanding these puzzling and painful experiences. While Freud's theories have evolved significantly since he first proposed them, his core insight remains profoundly relevant. Much of our mental life occurs outside our conscious awareness, and what we experience as symptoms or seemingly irrational behaviors are often expressions of unconscious material-seeking acknowledgement. When Freud spoke of the unconscious, he wasn't referring to a mystical or spiritual realm, but to a dynamic psychological system, governed by its own principles and containing thoughts, memories, desires, and fears that have been deemed too threatening or conflictual to remain in conscious awareness. According to Freud, the boundary between conscious and unconscious isn't static or absolute. It's maintained through active psychological processes that require constant energy to sustain. And when the system comes under pressure, through external circumstances that echo earlier traumas, through developmental transitions that reactivate unresolved conflicts, or through the natural weakening of defenses that occurs with stress or fatigue, the unconscious finds ways to communicate across this boundary, often in coded or symbolic forms that preserve the essential content while disguising it enough to bypass conscious resistance. This unconscious communication can take many forms, but they all share a common quality. They disrupt our sense of being unified. Logical actors who understand our own motivations and choices. They create experiences that feel alien or inexplicable from the perspective of our conscious self-understanding. The anxiety that arises in situations that pose no obvious threat. The emotional reactions that seem wildly disproportionate to their triggers. The self-sabotaging behaviors that undermine our conscious goals. The somatic symptoms that medical investigations can't fully explain. The dreams that leave us disturbed without understanding why. The repetitive patterns in relationships or work that keep reproducing the same painful outcomes despite our best efforts to choose differently. These disruptions aren't random malfunctions or meaningless suffering. They're purposeful communications from aspects of our experience that have been denied more direct expression. Let's take a specific example to illustrate how this process might work. Imagine someone who experiences intense anxiety in situations where they need to assert themselves, asking for a raise, setting a boundary with a friend, expressing a different opinion in a group discussion. From a purely conscious perspective, this anxiety might seem irrational. The person might tell themselves that there's no real danger in these situations, that the worst possible outcome wouldn't be catastrophic, that their fear is unfounded and they just need to push through it. But from a psychoanalytic perspective, this anxiety might be carrying important unconscious meaning. Perhaps as a child, this person experienced their parents' anger or withdrawal when they expressed needs or showed independence. In that earlier context, assertion really was dangerous. It threatened the attachment relationships they depended on for survival. The anxiety they feel now in situations that echo those earlier dynamics isn't irrational at all. It's a communication from an aspect of their experience that learned a legitimate lesson about the consequences of self-assertion in a specific relational context. The problem isn't the anxiety itself, but the fact that this learning remains unconscious and therefore can't be updated to account for the differences between past and present circumstances. If you've been recognizing aspects of your own experience in these descriptions, consider giving this video a like. It helps others find this content who might be struggling with similar patterns. Another common form of unconscious communication occurs through repetitive patterns in relationships. Consider someone who consciously wants a healthy, secure partnership, but repeatedly finds themselves drawn to unavailable or inconsistent partners. They might blame bad luck or question their judgment, wondering why they keep choosing people who can't meet their needs. But from a psychoanalytic perspective, this pattern might represent an unconscious attempt to work through earlier experiences of inconsistent care or emotional absence from primary caregivers. The repetition isn't a mistake, but a purposeful effort to master an earlier wound by recreating it in conditions where a different outcome might be possible. The unconscious logic here is complex but profound. By engaging with partners who trigger the same feelings of abandonment or unworthiness that were experienced in formative relationships, the person gives themselves an opportunity, albeit an incredibly challenging one, to respond differently this time, to set boundaries they couldn't set before, to recognize their own value in ways that weren't possible when they were dependent children, to heal through new choices rather than through avoidance of old triggers. Dreams provide perhaps the most direct window into unconscious communication. Freud called dreams the royal road to the unconscious, recognizing them as a unique state where the barriers between conscious and unconscious become more permeable, allowing repressed material to emerge in disguised form. The specific images and scenarios that appear in our dreams aren't random products of neural firing, but meaningful expressions of unconscious material that has been translated into symbolic language. The recurring dream of being unprepared for an examination might reflect unconscious fears about being evaluated and found wanting. The dream of being pursued might represent aspects of ourselves or our experience that we're trying to escape or deny. The dream of flying might express desires for freedom from constraints. These symbolic communications bypass the conscious mind's resistance precisely because they don't state their meaning directly, allowing us to engage with challenging material without immediately activating our defenses. Let me pause here for a moment because I need to ask you something that matters. Have you ever felt like you are living two lives at once? The one everyone sees, where you smile and function and pretend everything is fine, and the one inside your head, where you are struggling, confused, doubting every choice you make. That split, that exhausting performance of being okay when you are not, it is something Freud understood deeply. And I want you to know something. You are not broken. You are not weak. You are human. And what you are feeling right now, this exact struggle you are carrying, someone else watching this video is feeling it too. They are sitting there thinking they are the only one, just like you might be thinking right now. So I am going to ask you to do something that might feel vulnerable, but it is important. Go down to the comments right now and type this exact phrase, "I feel this." Just those 3 words, "I feel this." You do not need to explain. You do not need to write your whole story. Just let those words be your voice today, because when you do that, something powerful happens. The person scrolling through these comments, the one who feels completely alone in their pain, they are going to see your comment, and for the first time in maybe days, weeks, or months, they are going to realize they are not alone either. Your 3 words might be the thing that helps them breathe a little easier tonight. This is not just about engagement. This is about connection. This is about breaking the silence that keeps us isolated in our suffering. Freud built his entire life's work on one simple truth: we heal when we speak what has been hidden. So speak it now. Go to the comments, type "I feel this," and know that by doing so, you are not just helping yourself. You are helping every single person who needs to know that what they feel is real, is valid, and is shared. Do it now. I will wait. Body sensations and physical symptoms can also serve as powerful carriers of unconscious communication. Freud and his contemporaries were particularly interested in what they called conversion symptoms, physical manifestations like paralysis, blindness, or chronic pain that couldn't be fully explained by medical causes. While our understanding of the complex relationships between mind and body has evolved significantly since Freud's time, the core insight remains relevant. Our bodies often express what our conscious minds cannot. The tension headaches that emerge during periods of denied anger, the digestive issues that flare up when we're swallowing emotions or situations that we find difficult to digest psychologically, the chronic pain that persists in areas of the body associated with earlier traumas. These physical experiences aren't just in your head. They're genuine bodily sensations, but they may carry psychological meaning alongside their physiological reality, serving as communications from aspects of our experience that haven't found expression through conscious awareness or verbal articulation. Seemingly irrational fears and avoidances represent another common form of unconscious communication. Consider someone who experiences intense discomfort around a specific type of person or situation, despite having no conscious negative experiences to explain this reaction. From a psychoanalytic perspective, these aversions might be connected to unconscious associations or earlier experiences that remain outside awareness. The person who inexplicably dislikes someone who reminds them unconsciously of a threatening figure from their past. The fear of enclosed spaces that connects unconsciously to early experiences of feeling trapped or powerless. The avoidance of certain types of intimacy that links to aspects of earlier relationships that were overwhelming or confusing. These reactions aren't random or meaningless. They're communications about associations and experiences that remain active in the unconscious mind, even as they're excluded from conscious awareness. If you're finding value in understanding how your seemingly irrational reactions might be meaningful unconscious communications, please consider leaving a like on this video to help others discover this perspective. One of the most challenging but potentially transformative aspects of Freud's theory involves his understanding of how unacceptable impulses or desires might be communicated through their opposites. The excessive moralism that masks unconscious aggression. The contempt for vulnerability that defends against one's own unacknowledged needs for care and connection. The compulsive caregiving that serves as protection against awareness of one's own dependency longings. These reaction formations, as Freud called them, don't simply hide the underlying impulses, they actively express them in inverted form, allowing for some release of the unconscious energy while maintaining the conscious self-image. This helps explain why certain moral positions or behavioral patterns can feel so charged, so rigid, so impervious to nuance or flexibility. They're serving not just as conscious values but as unconscious defenses, and any threat to these positions threatens to expose what they've been working so hard to keep hidden. You already know this, but we're not ready to understand ourselves alone. The human mind is vast, complex, and often frightening to explore without guidance. If this content is helping you see yourself more clearly, if these insights about Freud's work are bringing light to parts of yourself you've kept hidden, then consider subscribing to this channel. This is not just another psychology channel. This is a space where we explore the depths of human nature together, where we take the most profound concepts from psychoanalysis and make them accessible, practical, and deeply personal. Every video here is designed to help you understand, not just theory, but yourself, your patterns, your fears, your desires, the invisible forces that have been shaping your choices without your awareness. When you subscribe, you are making a commitment to yourself. You are saying that you are ready to look deeper, to understand more, to stop running from the truth of who you are. And I promise you this, I will be here every week, bringing you insights that matter, explanations that actually make sense, and perspectives that can genuinely change how you see yourself and the world around you. This journey of self-understanding is not easy. Freud knew this. He spent his entire life mapping the human psyche precisely because he understood how lost we can feel inside our own minds. But you do not have to walk this path alone. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications. Become part of a community of people who have decided that understanding themselves is worth the discomfort, worth the effort, worth the time. Because at the end of the day, the most important relationship you will ever have is the one with yourself. And that relationship deserves your attention, your curiosity, and your courage. So subscribe now, and let's continue this exploration together. Your future self will thank you for taking this step today. Given this understanding of symptoms, patterns, and seemingly irrational experiences as communications from the unconscious, how might we respond more effectively to these messages? The first and perhaps most important step involves shifting from a stance of judgment or frustration to one of curiosity and respect. When you experience anxiety that seems disproportionate, or find yourself repeating patterns despite your conscious intentions to choose differently, or notice physical symptoms that intensify during certain emotional states, try approaching these experiences not as problems to be eliminated, but as communications to be understood. Ask yourself, what might this symptom or pattern be trying to tell me? What earlier experiences might it connect to? What function might it serve in my psychological economy? This shift doesn't mean passively accepting suffering. It means recognizing that even our most challenging experiences carry meaning and purpose, and that understanding this meaning is often the first step toward genuine transformation. This curious stance also involves recognizing that unconscious communications often speak in a different language than conscious thought, the language of metaphor, symbol, and association rather than linear logic. The anxiety that arises during professional success might symbolically connect to childhood experiences where outshining others led to rejection or retaliation. The chronic digestive issues might represent difficulties digesting certain emotional experiences or life transitions. The recurring relationship patterns might be metaphorical attempts to resolve or master earlier relational wounds. By attending to these symbolic dimensions, you open yourself to meanings that can't be accessed through purely rational analysis. Dreams become particularly valuable in this process, as they offer a direct channel for unconscious communication through symbolic imagery and narratives. Keeping a dream journal and reflecting on the emotional resonances and associations of dream images can provide insights that might not be available through more direct self-examination. Another crucial aspect of responding effectively to unconscious communications involves recognizing the limits of individual insight and the importance of relationship in the healing process. Freud developed psychoanalysis as a relational practice precisely because he understood that the unconscious often becomes most visible in the context of relationship, where patterns established in early attachments naturally tend to recreate themselves. The therapeutic relationship provides a unique setting where these patterns can emerge, be recognized, and potentially transform through new relational experiences. While not everyone has access to formal psychotherapy, the principles of relational healing can operate in other contexts as well, in close friendships where genuine vulnerability is possible, in creative collaborations that allow for expression of unconscious material, in spiritual communities that provide containers for aspects of experience that transcend rational understanding. The key is finding relationships where the parts of yourself that usually remain hidden can be acknowledged and engaged with rather than denied or judged. The body offers another important pathway for engaging with unconscious communications. Freud's early work recognized the profound connections between psychological experience and physical sensation, and contemporary approaches have expanded on these insights to develop somatic practices that work directly with the bodily manifestations of unconscious material. Mindful attention to physical sensations during emotionally charged situations, gentle exploration of the tensions or constrictions that appear in specific contexts. Movement practices that allow the body to express what the conscious mind might still struggle to articulate. These approaches recognize that unconscious communications don't just appear in thoughts or behaviors, but are literally embodied in our physical experience, and that working with this embodied dimension can sometimes access material that remains inaccessible through purely verbal or cognitive approaches. Share this video with someone who needs to understand the deeper meaning of their seemingly irrational experiences. They might find the clarity they've been searching for in these psychoanalytic insights. Creative expression represents yet another powerful channel for engaging with unconscious communications. Freud recognized the deep connections between creativity and unconscious processes, seeing artistic expression as a form of sublimation, a mature defense mechanism that transforms unconscious impulses into socially valuable and personally meaningful forms. Writing that allows unconscious associations to emerge without premature editing or censorship. Visual art that works with symbolic imagery similar to that found in dreams. Music that expresses emotional states that might resist verbal articulation. These creative channels can serve both as expressions of unconscious material and as means of processing and integrating it, allowing for communication between conscious and unconscious aspects of the psyche in ways that bypass some of the defenses that operate in more direct approaches. It's important to recognize that engaging with unconscious communications isn't always a straightforward or comfortable process. The material that gets relegated to the unconscious is often there precisely because it threatens our conscious self-image or challenges important attachments and adaptations. As you begin to listen more attentively to the messages from your unconscious through symptoms, patterns, dreams, bodily sensations, or creative expressions, you may encounter material that feels disturbing or destabilizing. You might discover anger you've never allowed yourself to acknowledge, desires that conflict with your conscious values, needs that feel shameful or dangerous to express, grief that's been frozen or contained for years or even decades. This doesn't mean you're doing something wrong or that the process is harmful. It's a natural consequence of engaging with aspects of experience that have been denied direct expression, precisely because they're challenging to integrate into conscious awareness. This is why creating adequate support and containment is crucial when working with unconscious material. The psychoanalytic frame, with its clear boundaries, its emphasis on the therapeutic relationship, its attention to the pace and timing of interpretations, was designed precisely to provide safety for this challenging work. If you're exploring these dimensions outside of formal psychotherapy, consider what structures might serve similar functions for you. Perhaps a regular creative practice with clear time boundaries, maybe a spiritual discipline that provides a framework for understanding and containing difficult material, or a trusted relationship where aspects of your experience that usually remain hidden can be gradually shared and witnessed without judgment. The specific form matters less than the function, creating conditions where unconscious communications can emerge and be engaged with in ways that feel manageable rather than overwhelming. As we move toward concluding our exploration of unconscious communication, it's worth considering how this understanding might transform your relationship with the very experiences that originally brought you to this video. The seemingly irrational anxieties, the repetitive patterns, the bodily symptoms, the emotional reactions that feel disconnected from conscious understanding. Perhaps the most profound shift involves recognizing that these experiences, however painful or disruptive they might be, represent not failures or defects, but communications from aspects of your psyche that have important information to share. They're not problems to be eliminated, but messages to be understood, not obstacles to being fully yourself, but expressions of parts of yourself that have been denied more direct channels for awareness and integration. This doesn't mean that suffering should be romanticized or that genuine relief isn't possible, but it does suggest that the path to such relief might not lie in fighting against or trying to silence these communications, but rather in developing a different relationship with them. One based on curiosity rather than judgment, on listening rather than suppressing, on respecting the wisdom and protective functions of even your most challenging symptoms and patterns. By approaching these aspects of your experience as meaningful rather than meaningless, as purposeful rather than random, you open possibilities for a healing that goes beyond symptom management to genuine integration and growth. You create conditions where what has been unconscious can gradually become conscious, where what has been expressed through symptoms can find more direct and satisfying forms of expression, where the splits within your psyche that create suffering can begin to heal through understanding and acceptance. In many ways, this perspective represents one of Freud's most revolutionary and enduring insights, that even our most puzzling and painful experiences carry meaning, that our psyches are constantly communicating across the boundaries of consciousness, and that by listening attentively to these communications, with patience, curiosity, and respect, we open pathways to a more integrated and authentic way of being. The symptoms that brought you here aren't signs that something is wrong with you. They're evidence that parts of you are working incredibly hard to be recognized and understood. The patterns you can't seem to break aren't proof of your failure. They're expressions of aspects of your experience that haven't yet found resolution. The disconnects between what you consciously want and what you actually feel or do aren't indications that you're broken. They're invitations to a deeper understanding of the complex, layered nature of human consciousness. By approaching these experiences as meaningful communications rather than as random suffering or personal defects, you transform not only your relationship with the specific symptoms or patterns that trouble you, but your relationship with yourself as a whole, with all the contradictions, complexities, and depths that make you uniquely and fully human.